Hey guys, Slacker here, and today I'm going to be doing a marathon of Sacha Baron Cohen films. I'm going to be reviewing 4 Sacha Baron Cohen movies, G Indahouse, Borat, Bruno, and The Dictator. Sacha Baron Cohen is one of my all-time favorite comedic actors. I think the guy's a genius. I think he's an incredible character actor. I think he's hilarious. He's an amazing satirist. His movies, for the most part, are super intelligent, they're super hilarious, they're super daring. He totally pushes the envelope of what's acceptable to be in comedies, and he's really just amazing in all sense of the word. So like I said, today we're going to be taking a look at 4 Sacha Baron Cohen movies back to back, and yeah, let's get started. Before I start talking about the movies, I'd like to mention the Ali G Show. The Ali G Show was an HBO series that Sacha Baron Cohen starred in, and basically the show consists of Sacha playing a variety of characters and trolling real people. He would basically set up these fake interviews with real people and prank them and get their real reactions. And this show is hilarious. It's super underrated. It really shows off how great this guy is at improv and at character acting, and he's really just a master at, staying in character and being able to prank people like this. I mean, I haven't seen many actors who can actually pull stuff like this off this successfully. When you watch Sacha Baron Cohen play a character on the Ali G Show, you totally forget that it's the same actor playing all the characters, because he's so good at putting himself in these characters and really making you believe in these characters. The interviews and roundtable discussions on this show are just amazing, and I definitely recommend the Ali G Show to anybody who likes prank-style comedy or, things of that nature. So yeah, definitely go watch the Ali G Show. I believe all the episodes are on YouTube, and it's easy to find clips. Just go watch it. It's really good. Alright, let's dive into our first movie, Ali G Indahouse. I was really debating whether I should even mention this movie. I hate to say it, but it's really not that good. It's not horrible. It's not a terrible movie, but it's really not that funny, especially for Sacha Baron Cohen. Most of the jokes fall flat, and the jokes that are funny aren't hysterically funny. It's just a kind of mediocre movie. Unlike the Ali G Show and the 2 movies that followed this film, Borat and Bruno, Ali G Indahouse is not a prank movie. It doesn't have any unscripted elements. There's no interviews, there's no pranks, there's no real people with real reactions. It's just a fully scripted movie, and I guess that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just the character Ali G, to me, is made for interacting with real people, and it's just not as funny to see him in a scripted movie, especially one that's this lousy. But I will say the best part about this movie is Sacha Baron Cohen as Ali G. His performance is really funny, and the character itself is really hysterical, but the movie itself just isn't that good. It doesn't do it for me. It kind of feels like a Happy Madison comedy at points, and that's, not how you would want to describe a movie from Sacha Baron Cohen. So, Ali G Indahouse, check it out if you're a Sacha Baron Cohen diehard, but don't expect very much. It's not that good. So then we get to the one that everybody talks about, Borat, Cultural Learnings of America for Make Benefit Glorious Nation of Kazakhstan. This movie is a classic. It's one of the greatest comedy films ever made. To me, you can make an argument that this is the greatest comedy film ever made. It's so funny. It's hilarious. Beginning to end, nothing but nonstop laughter. And people say that for a lot of movies, but for this film in particular, it's impeccable. Borat, in comparison to Ali G Indahouse, is a much better spin-off of the Ali G Show, since Borat is a prank movie and does feature real interviews, real stunts, real pranks, that sort of thing. And that's what really makes that's what pushes this movie into legendary status, because I can't think of any movies that did that up until this point. There may have been a few, but mostly prank style comedy was done on like TV and stuff. This was the first movie that I can remember that actually mixed pranks and improv with scripted story bits, and it's a very unique film. Like Ali G Indahouse, the best part about this film is Sacha Baron Cohen's character performance. He just nails it, knocks it out of the park as this character. But above all, this movie is not just a funny prank movie. This film has some incredible social commentary and satire. Through using the formula of mixing a story with real pranks, real interviews, and real reactions, Sacha is able to make very powerful statements about not only America, but just the world in general, and how we perceive different cultures and different races. And there's actually some really shocking stuff in this movie. They get people to say some really scary stuff. I may sound like I'm just repeating myself, but you can't give this film enough praise. Borat, Cultural Learnings of America for Make Benefit Glorious Nation of Kazakhstan, is a classic. It's one of the greatest comedies ever made. It's so intelligent, so funny, and I really can't recommend this movie enough. Go watch Borat. So following up Borat would be no easy task, but Sacha Baron Cohen released his follow-up film, Bruno, in 2009, and Bruno received mixed reactions, but even with the people who liked it, the general consensus was that it's not as good as Borat. But I am part of the minority who thinks this movie is just as good as Borat. In fact, I'm kind of tempted to say I like this movie even more than Borat. This film, once again, follows the formula established by Borat of mixing pranks with a story. And this movie really takes it to the extreme. It steps it up and, in my opinion, tops what Borat managed to do. Although the plot, premise, and execution is very similar to Borat, almost to a fault, the movie is, in my opinion, just as funny as Borat. Now, that's not to say that the character Bruno is as funny as the character Borat, because, Borat was the type of character where he could just stand there and get major laughs. With Bruno, there has to be more substance there, and there definitely is. While Borat was a film that was about racism, Bruno is a film about homophobia, and Sacha Baron Cohen is able to make great statements about homophobia and the way people still perceive the gay community. I just don't understand why people didn't seem to like this movie that much. I mean, how can you not laugh at the TV show pitch meeting? How can you not laugh at the talk show with the baby? How can you not laugh at the Straight Dave cage match? There's just so many amazing scenes and jokes that people just seem to miss. And to me, this is one of the most underrated movies of all time. Now, although Borat was a very extreme movie with its pranks and public interaction, Bruno really takes it to the extreme. I mean, Sacha Baron Cohen interviews a real terrorist as Bruno in character. And people just brushed it off as being that movie that came after Borat that wasn't as good. So yeah, in my opinion, Bruno is just as good as Borat, if not better. Now, I do understand that some people felt uncomfortable from the movie, and personally, none of the stuff in the movie really got to me, because I have a very bizarre sense of humor, but I do understand how some of the nudity and stuff like that could have got under people's skin, but personally, it doesn't bother me, and this movie is everything that was great about Borat taken to the extreme, and I love it. So 2012 saw a change in direction for Sacha Baron Cohen with the release of The Dictator, once again directed by Larry Charles, who of course directed both Borat and Bruno. The film, once again, is about Sacha Baron Cohen playing a stereotype who must travel to America to complete said task, only this time it's a completely scripted movie. And compared to Borat and Bruno, it's really underwhelming. And I know it's not fair to just rag on the movie for not being a mockumentary and for not being, a prank movie. And I also know it's unfair to just compare this movie to Borat and Bruno, but You know, seeing what Sacha Baron Cohen is capable of and seeing what this movie is just makes you kind of disappointed. Now, don't get me wrong, the movie is funny. In fact, it's really funny. It's just kind of disappointing coming off of Bruno. The film, although it is somewhat controversial and isn't watered down at all, it is not nearly as extreme as Sacha Baron Cohen has been in the past. And although it is a satire, the satire to me doesn't really mean much. It's just, okay, these dictators are dipshits. We all know that. You know, he's not making any real statement here. It's just, stating the obvious. But the good news is, Sacha Baron Cohen's brilliant character acting definitely carries over into The Dictator. Admiral General Aladdin is an absolutely hilarious character, and he really makes the movie. I feel like Sacha is so good at character acting that even in a really bad movie, he can still get laughs just from dressing up in a costume and doing a funny voice. But thankfully, that's not all this movie is. It is funny. There's some clever gags. It definitely makes you laugh pretty consistently. And overall, it's an above-average comedy. It's just disappointing as a Sacha Baron Cohen movie. It's a good comedy. Like, if this was made from someone else, I would probably really like it. It's just not as funny as it could have been, and it just feels like wasted potential. Now, I know doing another mockumentary or another prank movie would have been difficult to pull off, but I honestly think Sacha Baron Cohen is talented enough to do it a third time. I just think he probably didn't want to. He just wanted to do something that's a little bit more safe. Just after doing 2 movies of basically risking his life for jokes, it may have been a nice, breath of fresh air for him to just do something, that didn't endanger his life in the process. And the movie definitely works on that level, but I just can't help but think that this movie would have been way funnier if it was Sacha Baron Cohen going out into the streets and messing around with people as the dictator. But the character Aladdin is really funny, and there's enough jokes in there that work to keep you interested. So yeah, The Dictator is definitely worth checking out. And for someone who hasn't seen Borat or Bruno, or for whatever reason didn't like Borat and Bruno, this movie actually might work for you better. But for someone who loved those 2 films, this movie just seems like an obvious drop in quality. It was obviously going to happen eventually, but this movie, even as a scripted comedy, could have been better than it ended up being. I like it though. It is a good movie. I just don't love it. This isn't a classic movie. And again, it's unfair to hold this movie up to like a really high standard, but Sacha Baron Cohen is capable of so much more. So yeah, The Dictator, worth checking out. It's a good movie. So that brings us to the end of our little Sacha Baron Cohen review marathon, and even though he had a couple misses throughout his career, I still consider him a genius when it comes to character acting and improv. So if you've never seen a Sacha Baron Cohen movie, I definitely recommend watching Borat, Bruno, and maybe The Dictator. I don't know, give it a shot if you want. And even if we never get another mockumentary prank movie, I'll still be excited to see everything he puts out. I hear he's working on a movie called Grimsby right now, and I'm definitely interested. I'll give it a watch once it comes out. I'm genuinely interested to hear what's your favorite Sacha Baron Cohen movie, because there's going to be a variety of opinions on here, because people seem to be very split on each movie. So yeah, comment below, let me know what's your favorite. So I guess that's all I gotta say. We'll see you next time. Slacker out. Booyakasha!
Thank you for watching my films. I hope you like. Dziękuję.